I love that fan. I really do. Hey, everybody, I'm Adam with RecordKrate. Hey, thanks for popping in this morning. If you're watching me live or if you're watching the replay, thank you so much. I'm doing a little talk this morning about a quote from Joe Williamson Jr. And the quote is, I believe every LP has a home. When I read that, I just paused and I'm like, that is so true. So I always think about all the records that come in that I'm not interested in buying as a buyback. And I'm always thinking about the records that just don't sell. And then I stop and I think about there was a record label that was interested in releasing this album. And they had a contract, an agreement, and they put forth the money and they believed enough in the artist and the band to release that album. And so that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today, and things like that. How music can be in favor, how music can be popular, how people can totally miss out on certain things and not have an opportunity to hear it. Hey, good morning, Jonathan. Jonathan, how are you doing this morning? Are you doing okay with the storm that came through last week? Was it Thursday, Friday? Hey, Calvin, good morning. How are you? And Calvin, how are you doing down there in Paradise with the storms? Hope everything's getting back to normal for everybody. I was watching a little video this morning. Sorry, there's something on my screen. And of some damage in Western North Carolina. So I reached out to one of my customers who has, oh, yeah. And I just got a reply. So I'm going to read that reply. His daughter's in college in Western North Carolina. So his daughter's fine. Hey, good morning, Dan. How are you? The beaches are a mess. Oh, okay, great. So he went and got his daughter and brought her home because classes are canceled. And is there so that's good news. Good that his daughter's doing okay. I'm glad you made the live, Dan. How are you? Good to see you, Dan. Thanks for popping in, and Kathy and Lucy. I don't know your children's name. The beaches are a mess. Oh, I bet they are, Calvin. Well, I'm glad you're okay because Western North Carolina is horrible. Yeah. So continuing on with what I was speaking about, Calvin's a wonderful example. Dan's another example who has introduced me to so much music that I've never even recognized the name, and which is cool. I think about and Jonathan, I'm glad that you're doing good. In some areas, you got hit a little harder. Yeah, I guess you were a little east of Western North Carolina, so yeah, um, trees, electricity. Oh wow! Um, when he went to pick his daughter up, they were able to have a meal at a restaurant, so that's cool. Surrey County, yeah, Surrey County, yeah. Wow, wow. How about that? Well, I think about what I can do for the people in Western North Carolina, and I have to do some research and find a good cause that I can share with people to donate money. Like, I don't know, I'll find something. So there we go. Yeah, I think about been praying for all you down south. Well, Dan, I'm in North Carolina, so don't think of me as a Southerner. Think of me as a Northerner, okay? I'm just teasing, Dan. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you to do that. No electricity was not fun, and it's still hot here. I know the deal, Calvin. I was telling my buddy yesterday. I said, you know, yesterday felt like it was the warmest day of the year here inside the crate, and even though the temperature didn't reflect it, so we're getting a lot of humidity from all the wetness that's happened. So hopefully soon it's going to dry out for us. And Calvin, hopefully soon it'll dry out for you. And beaches are okay. They'll get put back to normal. Really cool. So there we go. It was an amazing storm. Truly amazing. It was incredible. Um, it went from category 1 to category 3, or was it 4, just like that. And it's like, why? What's going on here? And it was so wide. And it's just like, ugh. So Calvin, good for you having electricity. Jonathan, good for you for being safe and not hit. Um, and Dan, hey, you were far away from it. You probably didn't get any effect. Maybe you got some rain. I'm not sure, but we were fortunate here. There was rain in the forecast, rain and rain and rain and rain and rain. But we didn't get as much rain as was predicted, and there was no water that came into the Raleigh shop. So we're cool there. Yeah, we're cool there. So I have tons and tons and tons of sevens. I mean, people would bring me sevens in. I would go to this estate, and they're like, "Well, you got to get everything, including all the sevens," and I would, and I look through the sevens, and there's just so much stuff I don't know. And that's even true with LPs. When people bring LPNs to offer them for sale, a little rain, nothing more than normal. Good, good, good. And people bring in records, LPs, and I was just like, this will never sell. This will never sell. I end up putting it in the free bin, and a lot of times I tell the people, I said, if you like to put it in the free bin, we can do it there. You could do something else with it or take it with you. Whatever's good. Hey, good morning, Joe Williamson. How are you? Joe Williamson Jr., the guy that I quoted just a moment ago, the guy that this particular subject is about today. I believe every LP has a home. Calvin would say part of the reason for the increased intensity was the warm Gulf waters. Yeah. And Joe, how are you doing with so Joe's in southeast part of United States. Joe, you're welcome to say where you are. And Joe was in an area that he said that doing good, busy. So where he works, they didn't have electricity, and so there we go. Yeah, so I hope it gets restored soon. Yeah, I think about all the people who have needs with electricity. Southeast Georgia. There you go. He's in Southeast Georgia, folks. We need our refrigerator. We need our air conditioner. We need our internet. But there are some people that have needs. They need oxygen. They have other medical devices that need electricity. So you work on St. Simons Island, and Joe was telling me that the entire island was out of electricity. So without electricity, so Joe, I guess there's not very much work that you cats are doing at work, and crazy things like that. I mean, wow. It will return, folks. It will get better. It will take time. There's a lot of healing that's going to have to take place, that will be taking place also. And I can't imagine losing everything. Sometimes I feel like giving away everything. And me and Nico go somewhere. I don't want to give away my house, and Nico and I go somewhere and just walk away, lock the door, say goodbye. But there we go. Yeah. But continuing on with the topic today, I believe every LP has a home. So it's amazing. I really like 80s new wave. And there's a lot of new wave that comes into the shop. And I'm like, I look at the year, I look at the label, and I was like, I don't know this, but it's got to be somewhat important. So I put it to the side and maybe make an offer on it, not even knowing what it is. And sometimes you listen to it and you're like, okay, there's a reason I don't know what it is. And then sometimes you're like, what in the world? How did I miss this? And then I think about some of the older jazz, like from the 40s and 50s, even going back to the 30s. Calvin, you've talked about this before, sharing with me about some of the early jazz performers and things like that. We are busy cutting up trees and cutting grass. Oh, yeah. Watch out for the alligators. Um, I know in East Tennessee they had to bring patients at a hospital to the roof due to flooding. Oh my stars! Oh, so they were in the hospital and then they had to carry the patients higher up to the roof. Oh my stars! Yeah, yeah. And when roads are gone and when bridges are gone, um, we knew what you were saying. We knew what you were saying, Dan. Thank you so much. Um, it's just really sad. So there we go. I hope to revisit this topic one day, and I hope I can revisit it at a time that Joe is able to join in and talk. After all, it is his quote. I borrowed it. I'm using it, but I gave you credit. So, cool things like that. So, I is there any artist or any records that you feel that are not seen or known by others that are just incredible records? Have you found a record that you purchased maybe because the cover was cool, and then it turns out to be a really good record that you like and enjoy and play often? And things like that. Things that are popular are popular, and they're popular for a lot of reasons. I mean, Joe's turned me on to a lot of blues that I had never heard of before. Uh, Dan has gotten a lot of jazz that I wasn't as familiar with. And it just goes on and on and on. And there's just so many wonderful artists out there that, yeah. And it's amazing how some artists and some bands that their records are so valuable and they have wonderful work, wonderful music. And there's some artists where their records end up in the bargain bins or the discounted bins or maybe even the dollar bins, and that are just truly amazing, truly amazing good music. I believe a lot of times, I believe a lot of times in collecting records today, people are buying and focusing on the value, not actually listening to the music. I can see that, Joe. Absolutely. I believe that a lot of times in collecting records today, people are buying and focusing on the value, not even listening to the music. Yeah. So yeah, I met Joe on Whatnot, and through Whatnot, I've followed Joe and would chat with Joe, and so it's really cool. So it's good to have a Whatnot buddy that you can reach out to and talk about things like this. And different platforms, how things sell vary. I know that on Whatnot, it's it's a there's a lot of popular stuff that sells, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I might have grabbed this. Like some of the psych that Calvin and I both enjoy listening to, and we share with things online and say, listen to this, or have you heard this, or check this out. Calvin says, I know it's not a new record, but finally, Portishead, you finally gave Portishead Dummy a chance. It's a great record. Yes, Calvin, if you like that, Hooverphonic. I love Hooverphonic. Jen, how are you? How are you? I'm okay, thank you. How did the stores stay dry through the storms? Jen, we weren't really affected very much. We had some rain. There was some tornado watches. I don't think any tornadoes touched down that I recall hearing about. And so we did really well. But it was much further west of us, like in the Boone area, the Asheville area, that got hit really hard. Um, Places that had electricity loss and flooding, roads gone, erosion, sinkholes, bridges, electricity, um, cellular communication. Um, yeah, just infrastructures were affected greatly. And then, of course, people south of us, like in the Florida area, the Georgia area, they were affected also. Calvin was here. Yeah. Jen, great subject you popped in on this morning because I'm sure you can. I learn a lot by watching Jen's YouTube channel and seeing all the cool records that she plays. Not only Jen, but her husband. Um, even though I'm not really one to gravitate toward the heavier sounds, but um, yeah. Before I go, Jen, before I move on with before I continue talking, Jen, were you affected by the storms at all? Uh, so your area, I need to get a map. I don't think you're too terribly far from Asheville, but still maybe far enough that you weren't affected by the storms. Yeah, but I love learning about music through Jen because besides she finds the coolest stuff. You find the coolest stuff, and you do play snippets online, so that's really cool to hear. So, but just like the topic today, Joe Williamson Jr. says, "I believe every LP has a home," and I really do believe that. Um, it may not be a quick home, big roof leak, but we got it easy. My sister is in South Carolina without power. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Big roof leak, but we got out easy. Hopefully the roof wasn't caused by anything hitting your house. Yeah, yeah, that would be sad. Your sister, I hope she gets the electricity. Yeah, pretty cool. Jen, it can be, but it's no more dangerous than going down to the record store. Um, and Whatnot's kind of advertised as a social selling platform. So you do develop Whatnot buddies, and some people have a good delivery and they make a good show and they talk about things. Some people with Whatnot, you play music, and some people I've learned so much about music from watching some of the people, um, and and they would play the records, and so it's really neat. And then they show something like, "What is that? Never seen that." Record stores are dangerous to me too. You know, they are. Yeah, yeah. And and I guess the next show we're going to talk about. Um, the next topic is going to be about the cost of records and how we buy records and how much money we spend on records and things like that. And when do we pull a trigger for an expensive record and things like that. So I got to make that show soon, but I'm trying to beat the post person today. I doubt they'll come in, but I got some parcels going out. So got to ship some orders and things like that. But I want to revisit this. I want to revisit it when Joe's able to join in. Jen, you're welcome to join in. Calvin, Dan, do you have a friend? Do you have a friend? People see. Oh, do you have to friend people to see what they're saying? No, you don't. You can, I think they call it follow. You can follow a seller, and when a seller goes live or a seller posts something, you get a notification if you have your notifications on, and you can watch the shows. Jen, I'm not sure if you have to create an account with Whatnot to be able to watch. You might have to create an account. Like I got a secret account, and I don't have any financial connections with that account, so I can just kind of sneak into somebody's show and see what's happening and watch and listen. But if you want to purchase, you have to have, your information as to how you would pay. And well, if you want to check it out, Jen, um, I have a link where you can get $15 credit Let's see if I can find that link quickly for you. Well, no, it's been good for me, Jen. It's been dangerous for me too. I'm sure Calvin can relate to that. And Joe, if you're still here, I enjoy Joe's stuff. He likes to go slow. Joe's approach is slow, and he plays a lot of the records, not only so you can hear what the music like, but also you can hear the condition of the record that he's offering for sale. So here's a link right here, Jen, if you feel like you'd like to check it out. Get a $15 credit. Joe picked up, I pick up every LP that is VG or better. May not be for me, but I'm curious to see what they sound like. Exactly. And I enjoy finding them a home. I agree with you there. I think about the times before I had the internet, before I carried a computer in my pocket, and it's like, what does this band sound like? And and you memorize the labels based upon some of the records you own by the label, and I bought lots of stuff on 4AD that I had no clue what they were. Yeah, as a buyer, I've taken great advantage of getting records nobody wants. There you go, Calvin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, you're so welcome, Jen. I hope it's fun for you. Town puppies. Screenshot. Yeah. I call them pound puppies. Oh, wasn't there a toy, a plush pound puppies in the 80s or 90s? I don't know. Anyway, cool. Yeah. So, like I said, I hope to visit this subject one day and have some guests join me. But just a little bit about Record Talk. So years ago, I did coffee and vinyl. Met a lot of people online, which was really cool. And things were changing with everyone's health, including COVID-19. And so kind of got away from that, was doing other things with the shops, and we're all busy. And so I just decided I have 1,000 subscribers, and I like to get more subscribers, but I also like to build up some hours. And am I that don't want to get monetized? Not necessarily, but I would like to have I forgot what it's called, join a channel or something like that. I don't know. Wasn't prepared for that. So anyway. But maybe Jen, Calvin, Joe, maybe we can get together and revisit this and talk about some of the cool records that we picked up that turned out to be outstanding that we just never knew what they were. And then Calvin, I'm the same way. Some of the sellers Calvin was talking about as a buyer, taking advantage of getting rid of getting records that nobody wants, and that's so true, Calvin. I can see. I mean, like sometimes some of the shows were like, oh, all heavy metal, and I was like, okay. And then you go there and they run through the heavy metal, they run through the heavy metal, they run through the heavy metal, they run through the, and then they start showing other stuff that they picked up, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's an incredible psych record. $5. Yes, I'll take that for $5 because, and you know, they may not have any interest in anything other than metal, so they don't spend much time, if at all, researching this stuff, and they just offer it. Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, for me, Jen, the biggest drawback with buying records, for me buying records on Whatnot, is following the seller, learning how they grade, learning how they inspect, because it's not fun spending money and paying shipping and getting a record that is dished or not the grade that they say it is. So there we go. Joe says I'm not a big classical fan, but there are some of the best sounding recordings out there. I agree with you, Joe. A lady called me up. Her husband, her former husband, an opera singer, and he left her tons of opera records. And I'm like, I can't sell opera records. I said, I cannot sell opera records. But she had a turntable, and I went over there and got the turntable, worked on it, repaired it, got it working, and did I sell it? No, it's right here. It's right here. It's for sale there. And she says, would you like to take some opera records with you? Free? And I just wasn't going to say, nope, nope, nope. I said, yes, ma'am, I would love to take a few opera records. And she was like in her 80s. And I said, no, I'll put these in the free bins. Haven't given any of them away. And maybe, Joe, I could do that on the raid Saturday. Giveaway will be an opera record. I'll try it. And so I told her, I said, listen, if you would like to bring them to the crate, I'll be glad to put them out there and give them away to try to keep them out of the landfill. So she might one day. I have a Carlos Montanara LP, which is awesome. Carlos, I have to look that up. Not long ago, let's see. If I don't look it up now, forget about it. Carlos, YouTube. Carlos. Oh, flamenco. There you go. Now I do sell some flamenco. It's not a fast sell, but yes, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Not long ago, the most I had from one artist was Rush and the Monkees. Now I have over 30 Jim Reeves, about 25 Hank Thompsons, and over 30 Eddie Arnold, and about 15 Bob Willis. There you go. Calvin, I found a Jim Reeves record the other day I hadn't seen before, and I was like, I got to get Calvin an image of this to see if there's something. He's a Latin acoustic guitar player. Does he do flamenco music, Dan? Is that what I'm seeing? Or does he sometimes get put in that category because he's Latin? It's not the first time I visited him on YouTube. I had a discussion with someone at one time about it. It could have been you, Dan. Yeah. So I mean, it's just like so. Here's a wonderful example. Flamenco music. The first thing I ever thought about was Jose Feliciano. Is he really some and other types of Latin music? Okay, is Jose Feliciano authentic flamenco? I'm not sure, but sometimes I'll get these records in. I mean, a perfect example. I got a record in Hawaiian music, and it's on Capitol Records. So you know, by the time that Hawaiian music got so popular that Capitol Records had to release one, that it had to be so homogenized that it probably wasn't as authentic as some of the other Hawaiian music out there. And that's true with every genre. You think about every hair metal band, it goes back to somebody who started doing hair metal band. They didn't get as popular as the ones who got really big, really quick, really fast. I gotta go get fixed. Okay, great. Have a great day, Jonathan. Thanks for stopping by. See you soon. See you next time, Joe. Yes. And so that's another thing. Yeah. So it's right at 8 o'clock. I got a whatnot, Jim. This is funny. I got a whatnot show in 12 minutes. So all I have to do is take the phone up there and get the tripod. Where's me? Shows. Yeah, I got a show at 8:12. So I got a show in 12 minutes. So I'm gonna take off myself. But thank you everybody for coming and hanging out. If you're watching the replay, put some comments in the chat. Off to school. Take care, Jen. And then if you'd like to join me the next time I revisit this, put in there and say, yeah, I want to be there. We'll make it happen. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much. All right, stay safe. Bye-bye.